Guess where I am again? Hello, I'm back in Plovdiv visiting my parents. It's early morning, maybe you can see the cars of the people going to work. And I wanted to show you around the garden and see how things are doing. There's a lot of weeds growing again because they had some rainy days. But I think the garden looks much better now. There's so many things blooming. These pots you see behind me, I'm going to have to repot some of these flowers. Hope I get to do that because I don't have too many days here. I also wanted to show you how the trees are doing, some of the plants I repotted last time, and the ones I planted directly in the ground in the garden as well. So let me take you around. Okay, coming down from the street level, this is what the garden looks like. I want to show you my mom's passion flower. It's so big right now. There is a flower blooming here, another one here on the fence, and lots of buds that are about to open, especially down there. This is what it looks like from down here. There's a flower. It's so unusual. My grandma says that people stop at our fence to look at it because I don't think a lot of people grow this here. But yeah, it's doing well. All along the path, there are these fake lilies. I again forgot the name of them, but they're really tall. They have rhizomes at the base and they're as tall as me. Not that I'm tall, but still. The vegetable-y green leafy thing is growing again after I chopped it down. You can see the garden is growing some more weeds again. There is a lot of clovers that are growing, which I don't think is bad. It's kind of a nice ground cover, better than just grass. Here is the calendula. It's kind of sprawling at the moment, but it is going to seed and it will self-seed for next year, and my grandma will have more of these. She uses them, I think, to make hand cream or something. But yeah, here's a little flower here. The others are mostly already spent and going to seed. I like that we have some flowers like this that self-seed. The hydrangea, the flowers are also spent now. They're going green. I have to check, do I have to deadhead these or just leave them? I don't know. The geranium is going strong. Not blooming, but just a lot of it. It's good for repelling mosquitoes and pests, I think. So it's good that it's taking over. Then we have some of the things I repotted. This is the Christmas cactus that I added some soil to the pot. It's looking much greener now, not so yellow as it was last month. So it's doing well. It's got very firm, what do you call these, segments. The crassula is doing amazing. This jade plant is really coming back. It's very firm, very dark green. It's not those yellow leaves that were on the plant before I repotted it. I think it's doing well here. And this is a project for this week. The flower already passed. I'm sad I didn't witness it with my own eyes because it's a really pretty flower, and I don't know, did this one dry off? I think it didn't flower the second bud, but it's time to repot this one. It's very cramped in there. Another thing that's due for a repot is this pelargonium. I really don't like the soil in here. It's absolutely compacted. It's awful. I know how I'm going to deal with this. Do I have to get rid of all the soil around the roots? I'll see what I'll do. This one is facing the same problem. It's just very compacted, and the good thing is this one is not blooming presently, so I'm not going to disturb any flowering that's happening. This one here is flowering, but I need to deadhead these. Some of these are already spent. All the soil of all of these is the same basically. It's just very compacted and fine. I might just have to switch the soil but keep the plant in the same pot. Probably give it a bit of a trim. We'll see if it needs it. These kalanchoes also need to be repotted. All of them have the same compacted soil. I don't know how they're living in this, but there is, I don't know if you can see, there is a spider web going through these. I'm hoping these spiders are eating the pests that are on these, because there are some sort of pests on here, like aphids or something. The plant's leaves are turning out a bit deformed. The ants are having a field day on these plants because of the aphids, I'm guessing. So yeah, these need to be pruned and repotted, absolutely. They're all dry except for this one. I don't know why this one especially is not dry. Does it have drainage holes or not? We'll have to inspect everything. These are the pelargonium cuttings I took when I pruned one of them around Easter. And some of them have roots, so we're going to pot these up. Hopefully they manage to grow through this season, because it's already June, so I don't know if they'll have enough time for that, but maybe not flower this year, but next year. I guess my dad went through the annual chopping of the spearmint, so this bed is very empty. We just have this ginormous fennel bush here. I don't even know what they use it for. I'm not sure if they use it for anything, but it's very big. Let's see how the ones I planted directly in the soil are doing. Okay, this is the aloe, and you might think this looks dead, and it definitely looks like it, but it's firm. This is just enormous sun stressing on the plant. It's just very brown, reddish gray, and it's still growing, but I'm guessing it's a bit drier than it was in the pot, because this soil is just, it's like a desert, but it is alive. It is overgrown by grass and weeds, and the gazania is down here. It had flowered. This is one, and here's another flower, and there are more flowers coming in down there. They have aphids as well. You can see those little balls. They're aphids, but it doesn't seem to be hurting the plant. It's very resilient. The fig tree is very lush at the moment, and the fig fruit are growing. There's one here, another one here. They're everywhere, just still green, still growing. They're gonna be as big as my fist. The dogwood is growing. It doesn't need any care at all. I'm not sure if this has ever borne fruit for my parents. What I love is the pomegranate. Look at these red things. They were flowers, but they are now starting to become fruit. Here's some more. There's pests on them again. There's aphids all over them. Look at that. The ants are all over them as well. So fast. But the tree seems to be doing well. My mom said she was going to spray it with something. Aphids are not that hard to get rid of. This is the hazelnut shrub. It's also got pests, aphids for sure. This is something very common here. They never spray for pests or anything. They still manage to have, you know, some baby pomegranates. Although the trees are kind of young. Look at those beautiful flowers on the pomegranate. They're just so pretty. This is the jujube tree. It's so big now. This is what the flowers look like. They're so cute. I don't think they smell like anything and they're not much to look at, but it does get those really nice fruit. The garden itself has overgrown again, but I told my parents, at least I told my mom, that there's no use in you know, getting rid of the growth on here because they're not going to use this to plant anything this year. So I think it'll be a good rest for the soil, you know, to have something else grow on top of it and have any kind of roots holding the soil together so it doesn't erode, which is what usually happens here. That's why we get very dusty earth here, because my dad just constantly gets rid of the surface vegetation. The rosemary is just uncontrollable at this point. I'll have to chop it back again. We have another fennel here growing. This is where the irises were. They are already spent, and I missed the white lilies. They're really pretty. I'm sad I missed those. There's another fig tree growing here. My grandma's chrysanthemums are just growing. They will bloom in fall, so they're still just green for the time being. I think this is another weed. And these, the ones I left because I didn't know if they were intentionally planted here or not. I think these are flowers. They grow flowers, tiny blue flowers on long stalks. I think that's what they are, but I don't know what they're called. And I still have no idea what this is. Hasn't done much since I just left it here last time. Something that happens every year, we get these tiny seedlings of a tree that grows outside our fence. It's up there in the street. This is an albizia tree, or I don't know what it's called in English. Another one growing here. It has these seed pods that they look like beans, and they just fall everywhere, and we get these from time to time, but they don't grow because, you know, they need more light, I guess, because they're trees. I tried taking one of these to grow in a pot and it didn't make it, because this one has such dainty tiny leaves that for a time I was really into bonsai. I thought this was going to make a really nice bonsai tree because it has those very fluffy pink flowers. So I think it's a very interesting plant. I wanted to show you some of the house plants they have. This is an alocasia odora, I think, just a regular green one my grandma has had for a very long time, and it went downhill last year or the year before last. It was just a stump because, you know, it's it goes through winter here on the covered patio, so it's growing okay now. It's got 2 leaves and another one on the way here. I repotted it last summer and I'm thinking I want to probably pot it in deeper than this. I don't know if I should change the soil. It's just very, you know, just some potting soil, perlite and a bit of sand and a bit of orchid bark. So I don't know if I should change the substrate or just pile some more on top of this just to cover the corm a bit more so it can put more roots out into the pot. Then this is my mom's Thanksgiving cactus. It's so sun-stressed. Look at how red it is. This is kind of a sunny and hot spot, but it was red even during the winter when it was here because it was very dehydrated. It's putting out new growth, but it's so strange. I don't think I've ever seen a Thanksgiving cactus sun-stressed like that. And this is the mother plant of my Hoya carnosa. I left it for my mom and it's doing fine. It's not as fast growing as mine, but I'm guessing this has to do with frequency of watering and the light it was getting, because it was in the living room window and it got kind of medium light there. But look at this leaf, look at how big this is. And they're very dark green, I'm guessing again because it was grown in lower light situation. I love the color of these leaves, but I really do want this to grow more and possibly flower, because mine is younger than this and it's flowering already and this one is not. So we need to change things up to see what it needs to flower. Okay, stupid me thought I was recording, but I wasn't, so I just potted up the pelargonium cuttings and let me show you what they look like. I potted up 2 cuttings in this pot. It's quite a big pot, so I think they'll do fine in here. Just the 2 of them. And I'm gonna give them a water and set them down next to the other ones. So this is the second pot of cuttings. There's nothing easier. I'm just filling up the pot with a mix of general container plant soil and some perlite for drainage. Sticking the cuttings in there, one doesn't even have roots, so let's see if it survives. I'm tamping the soil lightly to make sure the cuttings are in contact with the soil, and that's it. Next on the agenda for today is the cactus. To handle it, I'm using my dad's leather palm working gloves, and they did an amazing job. If you have a spiky collection, I highly recommend you get yourself a pair. This cactus is pretty old, so the spikes are thick, they're sharp, and ready to teach you a painful lesson if you're not careful. But they didn't get through the gloves once. I did get poked later while I was filling around the plant, so my next advice is use a chopstick to settle the soil around the plant, not your fingers. I used the same general potting soil, amended with some perlite and lots of coarse sand, and potted the cactus at the same soil level as it was before so I don't rot the base. And this is the result and the end of day 2 because I was meeting a friend in the evening. Okay, I just took this pelargonium from this pot. This is a pretty big pot, like about 22 centimeters in diameter maybe. And this big pot had this big pelargonium in it, and this is all the roots it has. And my grandma wanted to put this in a bigger pot. I don't think this is such a good idea, so I'm just going to change out the substrate because it was very compacted. This is all I took out of it. No perlite in sight. I understand it's an outdoor container, so it's good to hold in more moisture, but I think the lack of perlite has made this very compacted, and the roots couldn't breathe, so they died off. Like, there's a lot of roots that probably dried and some that probably rotted because of the inconsistent watering. So yeah, I'm gonna add some perlite to the new soil. Okay, this is what we've got. The potting soil itself had a bit of perlite in it, but I still added some more, and I also added some worm castings to help out the plant because of the lack of fertilization here. And I will probably add some slow release to this pot. So I'm just going to use the same pot. It might even be too big, but I'm okay putting this root system into this pot because I know these plants get underwatered a lot here, because my grandma can't really go around and water her plants because she can barely walk, let alone carry like a watering can. So yeah, let's do this. And I'm also thinking of burying this a bit deeper because I think new roots might come out of these stems here and new shoots also, so it might do it good to just have more of the stem in the soil so it can root. Okay, I'm almost done. I'm just going to add some slow release fertilizer in here. Mix it up with the soil. And I'm gonna cover it with some more soil. Okay, and we're gonna water this in. These are the pelargoniums in the rectangle pot, and this pot is just falling apart. It's falling apart here and here. You can't really hold this pot without it cracking somewhere. So I found another one. It's a tiny bit smaller, but I don't think this is going to be a big deal for these because the trend I'm seeing is that they don't have as much roots as they should because of the underwatering, I'm guessing. So in this pot, I think the roots will be fine. And this soil is just like the desert. It's really bad. Okay, surprisingly, the soil in here is not super bad. There's kind of a bit of perlite, but the soil on top was very compacted and there was no perlite, which is weird because it's usually the opposite. You have the perlite floating to the surface, so I'm guessing maybe I don't know, someone just refilled this pot because it was kind of empty with whatever soil there was available. And this is the result. So the roots are looking better on this one, and I'm just going to take this, plop it into this pot when I filled up with some of the new soil. I'm gonna put the soil here, plop it on top, and just cover it with some more soil and some slow release because I just got rid of the slow release that was on top of the soil. Okay, that is it. It's transferred to the slightly smaller pots with the new soil and some slow release, like 1 spoonful of these. I think it'll do much better in here. Now I just need to water it. I want to check out the roots on this alocasia to see how it's been doing since the last year I repotted it and what kind of soil it needs. I think since they don't really water things very much here, I might just opt for a more water retentive mix, not so chunky. And I'm thinking it needs either a deeper pot or I can just use the same pot and plant it deeper. It depends on how far down the corm is. I'll probably have to look for another pot because this one isn't very deep. Okay, let's turn this over and see what we're working with. Ooh, it's got a pretty nice root system. I like that. Wonder if there's any corms. Probably not. The mix I've got it in has just a bit of bark. It's mostly soil and perlite. I'm happy with this root system and no corms that I can see. Nope. I watered it yesterday. Oh, okay. It's got root rot. It's very mushy here. Oh my gosh. Ew. Okay. We need to deal with this. I'm gonna go wash it off and probably cut it. Ew. Okay. This is what it's looking like. We don't have hydrogen peroxide here, so I don't know. I'm just waiting for this to just callus over just a bit. It looks healthy, doesn't look black. These roots are looking amazing. I think these are the new roots from this growing season because the plant was very dry during the winter, and I'm guessing this is why the old roots dry rotted and this corm at the bottom also rotted when we started watering it. So I found this pot, which is quite a bit deeper than the older pot. This is the difference, and I think if I put this in here I can cover the corm more and new roots are going to start growing from it. Now I'm wondering what kind of soil to use because of this rot. Maybe I'll just add a bit of tree bark so that we don't have moisture sitting around this stump here. There was just a bit of orchid mix left. I poured it all in here with the general potting mix, some perlite and some worm castings. We're going to mix this while the corm is drying out a bit. And we'll pot it up in this deeper pot. Okay, this is what it's going to look like. I'm just going to spread the roots out, pot it down, and cover the corm with soil. This is what it's looking like. I really wish I had a clear pot for this one because I need some more visibility about what's going on with those roots and with the corm, but I guess we're just going to have to judge by how the leaves are doing. It's strange that it didn't even show much sign of anything wrong with the corm, with the rotting and stuff, just that the leaves were a bit chlorotic. But this might just be from a bit too much light as well. So I'm hoping this will be okay. This is the next on the list for repotting. I need to deadhead these first, and this one probably. And I'm not gonna touch the other ones, and I want to take a look at the root system. I will just probably use the same pot and change up the soil, because from what I'm seeing so far, they don't have very big root systems. I just want to change this soil because it gets really muddy when you water it. It's very fine. This is the root system I'm working with. It's almost nothing. While I was taking off the soil, a lot of fragile dead roots were just tearing off. But these look nice and white. So I'm just gonna put this in the same pot in a airier mix and water it in like the other ones. Give it some slow release fertilizer, worm castings, perlite, and that's it. Okay, I think I'm done with this one. I watered it. I gave it a bit of a trellis just to support this back branch because it was flopping over because of its own weight in the flower. And the other thing I've done is there was another longer branch here that was just trailing off like this, and I just twisted it around and trailed it along the soil, covered it with soil a bit, and let it go out on this side so it can grow some roots down here, and it might bush out the plant a bit more. Gave it some slow release as well. I tried to wash the spider webs off the leaves, but it's kind of hard because they're a bit fuzzy. But it's looking good, I think. I love the white pot. I wish all the pots were white, but all of them are this terracotta color. I love the look of white pots. It's really clean and, I don't know, kind of Mediterranean looking, but we are working with what we've got. This is what the alocasia is looking after I potted it up. I just left it here to drain, and I think I'm going to take it upstairs here because I think it's a good place to remind my mom to water it. Yeah, I hope it does well. I hope the rot doesn't continue to spread. I didn't have the right ingredients to take care of it, but I'm hoping it calloused over enough to not continue rotting. Maybe I shouldn't have watered it. Okay, we'll see. So it's noon. We have to go pick my mom up from work. I have finished up the 20-liter bag of soil that I bought last month while repotting all of these pelargoniums and stuff, and we might have to go and pick up some more soil so I can finish up the kalanchoes. Everything else is fine. So good job to me. It's our last day. We're traveling in the afternoon today back to Sofia. So I have just the kalanchoes to repot, and I found these seeds. Grandma had put them in a jar. There's lots of them, but I have no idea what they are. So I'm probably going to try planting them in a little pot and see what comes out of them. This is the pot I'm using. I just put some general potting soil in here. I think it's peat based, but no perlite or anything. I think this is going to hold moisture really well for these seeds, and I'm probably going to cover it with a plastic bag or something. Here we go. I'm just going to push them down, cover them a bit. They're big enough, I think, so that they can sprout out of the soil. I'm really curious to see what this is. Mom said it was a bouquet of flowers that started shooting out these seeds all over the floor. So that'll be interesting. Okay, so I'm going to cover this with a clear plastic bag and leave it on the windowsill where it's warm and sunny. Okay, for this general potting mix for the kalanchoes, I'm using this thing, which is, it says that it's cocoa peat and worm castings. I just added a bit of perlite in here because it had absolutely no perlite, and some sand from the sand pile that we have in the corner of the yard. This poor kalanchoe is suffering from some pests, so we'll have to deal with that somehow. I'm going to cut off the blooms. I'm going to leave this wonky thing here. I think it's fun. And I'm going to spray this with some soapy water, I guess, because we don't have anything else. Maybe I should have brought my neem oil, but it's okay. Last one. Let me see if I can show you somewhere where it's more contrasting so you can see. There's different ones here because this is pink and this is orange. This new growth coming out of the branches here. The soil again is very compacted and old. So we're just gonna get rid of all of it, clean this up a bit and see how it looks, because it's very leggy on the bottom. So I'm thinking maybe I should start this over. What the hell? Is this an alocasia? Oh my gosh, I think an alocasia is growing from here. Okay, we'll have to rescue this one and see how the roots are and probably give it a separate pot, I guess. Okay, so this is what we have. I really have no idea what the heck this even is. I have not seen corms on that odora that I repotted yesterday. And where did this even come from? Okay, what the heck? I think if there was a corm here, it broke off while I was trying to take it out. It's super long because it was very further down in the pot. I don't know what to do with this thing. I guess I can give it a separate pot and see how it does. I think I found the corm and it's just a husk. There's nothing in there. This was a cute surprise. I'm guessing, well, I just put this in the general potting mix, no perlite or anything, because it's very small and the pot is small and it's going to dry out really fast. So I think I'm just going to leave this in here for now, water it, because I know how forgetful my mom is with watering. I don't want this to dry out too much. This plant was the most pest-ridden of the three kalanchoes, as well as very bare and leggy on the bottom. So I'm restarting it, cutting off the infested top growth and hoping the plant branches out. This is what we're left with. Looks super sad now, but it has potential. I go in with a spray of warm soapy water and thoroughly douse everything and hope for the best. I sprayed the last plant bare rooted so I could more easily get in all the nooks and crannies and repot it after. Okay, so this is what we're dealing with. I'm going to water these in and just leave them in their spots. There is no direct sunlight there, so it's going to be fine that they're sprayed down with soapy water. So this is how everything is looking. All the flowers have been repotted except the ones I dealt with last time. This is all the work I've done, and mama and baby alocasia are here. I really do hope this one doesn't rot any more than it was. If you hear some noise, the neighbors are doing some construction in their yard and the street is over there. I'm so sorry, but this is going to be it for this vlog. I am coming in about 2 or 3 weeks again, so we might see what's going on with the plants that I just repotted and probably be able to pot up the tiny spathiphyllum peace lily that my mom is still keeping in a cup for rehabbing with water. We're leaving this afternoon, so I'm just going to call it a day and give my mom and my dad and grandma some instructions about what to do with these things. I hope you enjoyed the vlog. If you did, there's going to be an update again in about 3 weeks. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!